Hello and welcome to Computology Academy. And it is very sad incident that we have lost our CDS, Chief of Defense Staff, on Wednesday, one of the Braveheart of India, and he was instrumental in ensuring the security of India at various instances, and he was instrumental in replying to many countries and insurgent groups during his tenure. So let us start and have a look at the life of General Bipin Rawat, the deceased martyr of India and a braveheart. And it was a very sad incident, but we can condole the loss and we can pray for the peace of the deceased soul. So let us see about the early life of General Bipin Rawat. So General Bipin Rawat was born in Pauri district of Uttarakhand, one of the northern state of India, in the Garhwal region. And his father, he joined the Indian Army, but his father and various generations of his family were also in the armed forces itself. They have a very long history of serving the nation and serving in the armed forces. So his father Lakshman Singh Rawat also served the Indian Army at the post of Lieutenant General. He was also a Lieutenant General. And General Bipin Rawat, he was the alumni of National Defense Academy Khadakwasla. He had cleared the National Defense Academy examination, entrance examination, and he had joined Khadakwasla NDA Academy, and he had passed out from there. Thereafter, he had joined the Indian Military Academy at Dehradun, and he was a very intellect person. He was very good in the training. His performance was very good, and for that matter he was awarded the sword of honor here during his training period. And he attended the command and general staff course at Fort Leavenworth in United States also. So he had been abroad also in the United States to learn about the military and warfare things and general command courses also. And he was a very learned person. He was author of various articles and books also. He had authored numerous articles and books on national security and leadership qualities in the armed forces. So he was a very genius person, and he was commissioned into the Indian Army in 1978. And it is very interesting to know that he was commissioned in the same unit in which his father was commissioned, and that was the 5th Battalion of 11th Gorkha Rifle. So his family is having a very long history of serving the Indian Army, and he had pursued the same aspirations of serving the Indian Army, and even he had joined the same battalion in which his father had joined. So it is a quite good thing to hear about him. And in army, how was his career in army? That was of his earlier life. Now come to his career in the army. So he had taken the reins of Indian Army, the armed forces, from General Darbir Singh Suhag on December 17, 2016, as the 27th Chief of Army Staff, COAS. Before him, then General Darbir Singh Suhag was there, who was the COS, and he had taken the reins from him. The General Dalbir Singh Suhad had passed the baton to General Bipin Rawat, and thereafter he was appointed as India's first CDS, Chief of Defense Staff, on December 30th, 2019, and he had taken over the office on 1st January 2020. And this post was created recently, and he was the senior most official in the defense services. So he was appointed, as well as his qualities and his achievements were also the factors due to which he was appointed as the chief of defense staff. He was one of the veteran of counter-insurgency warfare to annul and to nullify the counter-insurgencies, the insurgencies in India at various regions. He was instrumental in that. He had served in some of the most tough terrains in India, like in the northern parts, like in Jammu and Kashmir and other regions, as well as he was instrumental in annulling the insurgencies in northeastern region also. So he was leading the northern command, as well as he had led the eastern command also, and he has served at various positions, instrumental positions, decorated positions, such as he was the brigade commander, he was the general officer commanding in chief, that is GOCC of Southern Command. He had also served as the General Staff Officer Grade 2 at the Military Operations Directorate, as well as he had done some desk job also, like the Colonel Military Secretary, as well as the Deputy Military Secretary in the Military Secretary's branch. So he was such a learned person that he was able to work at the desk job also, as well as in the field also. He was outperforming at every places, and he was the senior instructor in the junior command wing also. So in the teaching role also, he was capable of teaching the officials at various places, and he had done such kind of jobs also. So this shows that how learned he was, and he was the part of the United Nations peacekeeping forces also. He had worked in the United Nations missions also, peacekeeping missions also, and he had commanded multinational brigade in Democratic Republic of Congo during his reign in the United peacekeeping forces also. So we can understand how wide and how varied his career in the armed forces was. He had worked at different places in different roles, and he had performed at every place. And if we talk about some of the highlights, major highlights of his career, then in 2015, when one of the armed forces battalion was moving in Nagaland, at that very time one of the ambush was there, and in that many of the armed forces personnel were died. And to avenge that attack, he had made it possible to conduct an operation in Myanmar, and that was on NSCNK, and that ambush was also very successful. That operation was very successful, and the outpost, that launch pads of the NSCNK were completely destroyed at that very time. And he was also the part of planning for 2016 surgical strike that was conducted in Pakistan occupied Kashmir through the Indian armies across the LOC. So it was a very daring operation, and it was also planned by, and it was also observed, and it was also organized by the General Bipin Rawat. He had also planned the air strike on Balakot that was conducted after this surgical strike. And he was also a part of many international bilateral visits, like he had made the visit to Nepal, Bhutan, Russia, United States, and other foreign nations, in which he had represented India in the bilateral talks and the visits of defense staff. And thereafter, if we talk about various medals or the decorations he had received, then it is also having a huge list. There is a list that Param Visist Seva Medal, Uttam Yuddha Seva Medal, Ati Visist Seva Medal, Visist Seva Medal, Yuddha Seva Medal, and Sena Medal. So such a huge list is here, by which we can understand that he was a very decorated army officer and he was a very brave personality. He had organized and he had supervised various daring operations like the surgical strike in POK, Balakot air strike, across the border operations in Myanmar. So we can understand that how much proficient he was in his work, as well as he was a very learned person. He was having a diploma in management, he was having a diploma in computer science also, and he was always trying to acquire some new knowledge and to improve his skills. And his loss is a very huge loss for India and as well as for the Indian armed forces, because his experience would have benefited too much to India, as well as the security concerns of India would have been reduced with the suggestions that would have been provided by General Bipin Rawat. And it is a very sad loss and very sad moment, and we pray to the God to give peace to the deceased soul. Thank you very much and have a nice